The 2026 Daytona 500 proves once again that there is a racist hate element in auto racing. There is no doubt about it whatsoever. But let's make it clear from the very start. It's not as if motorsports and NASCAR is the only place that racism is practiced. But in this sport, it is always directed at one person. Of late, it's all wrong. And all you have to do is look at the social media to find out once again the names of the people who simply can't stop throwing color into what is supposed to be just a sport about racing. We're not supposed to care about white, black, blue, green, male, female, makes no difference. This is about racing. But the racism in NASCAR is still there, and NASCAR can't do a damn thing about it. Bubba Wallace won the second stage of the Daytona 500. He was on his way, maybe, to winning it all. And again, let's be honest, if you know your auto racing, even if you don't, the Daytona 500 is one of the most prestigious races in the world to win. So here's Wallace, and let's stop with the nonsense right away from some people. Bubba Wallace is a good driver. Is he one of the greatest? No. Is he going to be a Hall of Famer? Who knows? He's still got a long way to go in his career.
When your name is Bubba Wallace, you kind of have to become a race car driver, right?
When I was a kid, we had these T-shirts made, so I'm actually Darrell Wallace Jr. It was Darrell, not Waltrip, Wallace, not Rusty, Jr., not Dale. So,
you got all the families in there. Yeah, right. Yes.
But Bubba Wallace is looked down upon by a lot of fans, and it has nothing to do with the fact that he races. Well, okay, I'll give you this. It does have something to do with it, because let's face it, more than any other sport I've ever been around, NASCAR fans hate drivers, sometimes for no specific reason. Well, they hate Kyle Busch because he's an ass at times. They hated Jeff Gordon for a long time because he won. That's all he did was win. Many people hated Jimmy Johnson because all he did was win. They loved Dale Earnhardt because Dale got in everybody's face. So for whatever reason, there are times that fans just hate the drivers. Hey, look, that's nothing special. That happens in every sport. Baseball, football, basketball, hockey, tennis, golf, soccer, makes no difference. Fans just hate players and athletes for some reason. But in this case, it is focused on race. There is no doubt about it whatsoever. So Bubba Wallace has a chance to win the Daytona 500. He does not win. A last lap wreck takes him and a number of other drivers out. And of course, everybody is going to speculate who was at fault, who did this, who did what. But then again, these are people who've never raced at 195 miles an hour coming down a straightaway trying to win a racing event, okay? Things happen. Stuff happens to just about everybody. But because Bubba Wallace was involved, people immediately start that knee-jerk about Bubba, okay? And this is what's annoying, and this is what is still frightening and is still wrong. Look, and I'm going to say this out loud. I'm a NASCAR fan. Have been for a long time. Look, I go back to stock car racing in upstate New York when I was about 6. That's when I caught the bug for motorsports. I drag raced. Sometimes legal, sometimes not. But I became a fan of NASCAR like I am a fan of most motorsports. I'm one of the few sportscasters that actually likes and understands motorsports. Most of these guys at the local or national level don't know spit from Shinola about what racing is, but I know racing. I've been in the community. I worked for Motor Racing Network. I covered the events. I was there. I was in the middle of it, and I still know NASCAR fans. NASCAR was, at one time, made up of a tremendous high level of racists. Are you kidding? A black man on the track? That would have been the worst thing ever for these people. They did. And I was there circulating through the crowd at a number of major racetracks and heard people talk about blacks using the N-word constantly, how those people don't belong in our sport, how we don't want a bunch of black people here. Look, it happened too with females. Every time a woman gets in a NASCAR, and don't stop, okay? Don't make excuses. Every single time a woman gets into a NASCAR car, people are, oh, she's just a girl. We don't want girls there. You know it's true. You know there's a sexist part of this sport. You don't think women can race, which is all complete and unnecessary bullshit because they're just as competent as anybody else. They have to earn their way in. Now, there are some people that are going to say that both women and black racers only get in because NASCAR wants them in and they want to diversify. Look, these people don't get chances. Minorities and women don't get the same chances that a lot of these white guys get because they are privileged, especially when it comes to this sport. You can't argue with me on that. You can scream up and down and holler and do whatever you want. You can throw things at the screen. You can write things and tell me that I'm all wrong. But you know I'm right if you've been around NASCAR for any length of time. So let's get to this now. At the 2026 Daytona 500, Bubba Wallace doesn't win.
Couldn't be more proud for the team, though. It's a big win. I'm super frustrated that I didn't win, but that doesn't take away from what they just did, so I want that to be known. But I have all the right to be bummed that it wasn't us, right?
Making the rounds on social media is this picture. Now, this shows Bubba Wallace, and you can see the start-finish line behind him right now where his teammate is, Tyler Reddick, is celebrating the fact that he's won the Daytona 500. And here's Bubba just moments after the event itself. He is a competitive individual. He has climbed out of his car. He is thinking about the fact that he had the 500. He was right there after a long day of racing, and the wreck took him out. Whether it was his fault, anybody's fault, makes no difference. But this is what happens to a dedicated athlete. They get to this point where everything just comes out. The emotion pours out because they were so close and so far. And this is the race that everybody wants to win. So this picture goes up, and it was not taken by anybody on Bubba's track or Bubba's crew. This was from Fox, and they took it to grab an emotional moment. Everything flies, and the shit flies like crazy on social media about this picture. Because, first of all, there's people coming out right away, and all you got to do is look at the social media posts. I did, in case you're wondering, like the ones who say that, well, the only reason that they're looking at Bubba Wallace here is because NASCAR wants them to. Again, these are the people who are saying that the only reason they pay attention to Bubba is because he's black, and because they want more black people in the sport, and because they want black people to enjoy the sport. Okay, good. It's about time we diversified. It's about time we made this sport available for everybody. And then, of course, it leads to the next issue. Over and over again on social media, I found pieces like this. I found comments like this. The first thing that everybody does is, because they're racist, they say, oh, Bubba's going to play the race card. Bubba Wallace has never played the race card in his life. That's part of the problem. People think only because he's black that he plays a race card. That's racist in and of itself. But these are people saying, well, there's Bubba. He's going to play the race card now. And of course, he did no such thing, didn't do anything like that whatsoever. Now, there's the derogatory crap that goes on, like the people who are saying, oh, look, Bubba's squatting to pee, because they call him Bubbles. A lot of people do. They nickname him Bubba. They nickname him Bubbles. So it's in essence saying, well, he's just like a little girl, and he plays like a little girl, and he's a female, and he's a girl. And see, again, it's the sexism part that walks into this again, where they're saying that he's going to squat down to pee. We've heard it all before, but it does talk about what's under the surface. Now, of course, there are also those social media comments that talk about Bubba taking a deuce. There you go. Tons of these over and over again that talked about how obviously he was squatting in the infield because he had to go to the bathroom. He had to take a number 2, the deuce, of course, which is just look, some of this stuff you can let go, because a lot of it is just normal fan hate and fan bullshit that goes back and forth, and people do this all the time. This isn't endemic to NASCAR. This happens all the times in sports, all the time. Doesn't make a difference just because people hate, and a lot of people hate. They hate very successful people. There's even people who came out and spoke against Michael Jordan, who won an NBA title. Now he's won the Daytona 500, and some people are making fun of him. Happens all the time. So this last one's a couple of jokes. Then there raises the true specter of a racist background here. Several years ago, Bubba Wallace was involved in an incident at a racetrack. I'm not going to get into all the details here, of course, but this is what started it. Newspapers started to cover this picture, saying that there was a noose is what they called it, hanging in the garage that Bubba Wallace was using. And if you look at this, you can absolutely surmise that this looks like the kind of noose that is a hangman's noose. Okay, let's not kid ourselves here. So there were people going around saying that this was made to basically warn Bubba because he's black. People were saying, oh, we're just going to go ahead and make a noose, and you're a slave, and we're going to make as much of a racist comment here as we possibly can. Turns out nothing came of this whatsoever. It was complete, unfettered, undying, unbelievable bullshit. Okay? It wasn't true. But, there are people to this day who blame Bubba Wallace for festering this thinking process that somebody was coming after him because he's black and they were using a hangman's noose. Wallace never said it. He never came out. He never said that's a hangman's noose. As a matter of fact, not long ago, he actually came out and said, hey, everybody probably knee-jerked a little bit. He didn't say right out what everybody wanted them to say, that it was completely fake. But look, he came out and basically said, we knee-jerked. And yes, everybody did. But the media knee-jerked on this one. The press knee-jerked. The people who wanted to make something of it. And then there were the people who followed this up, because I covered it at the time, that basically said, yeah, it's a noose. That's why we want black people out of the sport. You know it's true. Don't lie to me. I was there. I heard it. I experienced it at the track level. So it did happen. But here we have now 2026, and look what shows up on social media. The comments about the noose. That's blatantly racist. That's blatant hate is all it is. You're bringing up, in essence, it was proven incorrect a long time ago, but because Bubba Wallace is there and they hate Bubba Wallace, they're going to bring up the racism side of things. Listen, there are racist fans in NASCAR. Got it? There are racist fans in baseball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, golf, tennis, track and field. I don't care what it is, because racism permeates every facet of our society. So I'm not just calling NASCAR out on this. I'm not saying that NASCAR is special here. But what I'm saying here is, again, Wallace comes out and people bring up race cards for him. He's stunningly talented. He has a chance to win much more. I don't know the man. If we met in the street, he wouldn't know who I am. I'd know who he is, because I know the look. I know who he is. I can recognize him, but I've never talked to him, never interviewed him. I'd love to. But Wallace is a private guy. He doesn't give a lot of interviews, and he stays away from this because he doesn't want to be part of this nonsense that comes out. Which brings me to NASCAR. NASCAR needs to understand, and I think they do, I think they get it, that they have a racial problem. They have a racial problem in the sport. Absolutely. Why do you think there's only one black driver in the top tier of their sport? Black drivers don't get the opportunities that the white drivers do. They don't get the openings. Maybe now they will, because they should. It shouldn't rank anything on color, race, sex, creed, nothing. If you're good at your sport, be part of the sport. But NASCAR has to understand that they have a racist element. And there's people out there screaming, NASCAR better do something about it. NASCAR can't do anything about it. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Are they going to stop everybody when they come into a racetrack and say, quick, show me your card. Are you a racist or not? Have you ever said anything racist in your life? Well, they can't stop it. It's just like every other sport can't stop it. Now, you take action when it happens. If it happens on the track, if somebody says something, does something, you take action. You kick them out, you get them out, you take care of it. So we need to stop this. NASCAR needs to deal with the racist element in sport. There's nothing they can do. And what they're doing, in my mind, and I've been one of the biggest critics of NASCAR in a long time, I think they're doing it properly. They are still trying to get opportunities for black drivers, for Hispanic drivers, for female drivers. And that gnaws at a lot of people in this sport, because here it comes. I'm going to get hammered for this, but I'll say it out loud anyway. There's a redneck element in this sport, and you and I both know it, and everybody who's been around NASCAR knows it, and it doesn't make a difference where you are. There is a redneck element to this sport, and that's the rednecks who don't like black people, don't like Hispanic people, think the world is white, everybody needs to be white, think that women should be in the kitchen basically taking care of dinner and changing babies' diapers. It's the same crap that we've heard for decades. There are people like that. Are they the majority of NASCAR? No, absolutely not. But they rear their ugly head when things like this happen. We need to accept it, that it's there. We need to deal with it when it happens. And we need to bring it to the fore when it happens and talk about it and stop it. And look, people, if you're going to go on social media and you're going to say that Bubba Wallace is just a whiny little girl, or you're going to say that he's going to pee or crap on the infield, whatever, okay, go ahead. I mean, everybody does stupid stuff like that. That happens in every sport. But drop the racist edge of this. It doesn't work. It's 2026. You need to get past it. Because we need to understand that this is a sport that deserves to have every single person of every single type involved. And if you want to bring race into it, get the hell out. Seriously. Don't bring it here. Don't bring it into NASCAR. Don't bring it into any sport. Because you're a reprehensible human being to begin with. At the end of the day, support a driver because you like the driver. Don't like the driver and don't support him or her because you don't like him. But stop bringing this racist angle into it. It doesn't fit. It's time to get rid of. And by the way, if you're one of those people, we'd be better off just getting rid of you.